So I'd like to ask you, what was the advice you were given, or what advice did you find in your research on the internet or from a psychologist, and how did the advice help you? Because the Chiron in your ninth house is about healing. So I think the research that you're doing, as a result of you being curious and you're doing research around health, that has the potential to be very healing for you. So what was the advice that you were given? How has it helped you?
I feel like I need to point out to your listeners here that I don't know what you're going to say before we have these discussions. And what you're saying is really hitting the mark with me. So, what I
Fantastic.
was going to bring up for this particular discussion was the psychologist, or one of the psychologists that I spoke to, said something to me a while ago that really stuck with me, in that whenever you live in close proximity to someone, you're going to always affect them in both positive and negative ways. And
Mhm.
they're going to affect you in both positive and negative ways. You can't get away from that. That's a
No.
fact. It doesn't matter how much you love someone or how great a mother you're trying to be, or what other challenges are there. There's always going to be positive and negative interactions. So communicating how you feel and communicating your emotions is the absolute key. I always try to model great communication for my children. However, I think most parents would agree that's not always realistic. Things get in the way. Exhaustion, work, household
Life.
chores, life. Yes, exactly. And things like that. What I learned is that can make my tone of voice sound short or
Mm.
angry or even just plain rude. But while my words in my head, I'm not saying anything particularly negative or bad, it's my awful tone, unbeknownst to me at the time, that my children actually heard something completely different to what I said. So
Interesting.
I remember being with this particular psychologist, and we were having a therapy session, and the psychologist said to my daughter, "What did you just hear your mother say?"
Mhm.
And when she repeated it, it wasn't anything like the actual words that I had said. It was all about the inference from my tone. So if you're saying one thing and your children's hearing another, of course, that's going to escalate into a negative place. So as a result of that, I try to always ask, what did you hear me say? Because
Interesting.
what you heard me say and what I actually said may be two different things, but because of the way that I've said it, um, they're hearing something different.
That's very interesting because you are a Taurus, and Taurus is about the throat, the voice. So I'm not surprised that you've run into trouble with your voice, like your tone of voice. So you've got Mercury, which is communication, in the sign of Taurus, which is the voice, the throat, and it's right there next to Chiron. So then your words may be expressed in a way that can be wounding, that you may not necessarily have realized in that moment. But then you can also provide the healing words. So you can flip it around, because in astrology there's also positive, negative manifestations. You can flip it around to go from a negative manifestation of that energy around the way that you're communicating to a more positive way. So coming from a place of wanting to heal, as opposed to maybe not thinking so much about how you're expressing yourself, but maybe thinking about, I want to heal in this moment. I want to express healing words, of being a bit more proactive around, I'm going to communicate in a way that's going to provide healing in this moment, as opposed to not thinking about it. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense.
Okay.
And I don't know if this is related, but whenever I get unwell, the first place I'm always feeling it is in my throat. I always get a sore throat before anything else. That's
Doesn't
really
surprise
interesting.
me as a Taurus, because, yeah. So medical astrology is a branch of astrology, which I practice, and Taurus does rule the throat. You can actually track the astrology through your body, basically. So you go from Aries, which is the head, Taurus is the throat, and you work your way down, like keep the star signs in order, and you work your way all the way down to the feet, which is Pisces. So literally Aries is the head, Pisces is the feet, and you work your way down, and Taurus is the throat. And I'm a Taurus as well, so I'm not surprised that you have throat issues, because I have throat issues as well. But it's like we get words caught in our throat. Yeah.
That doesn't make that speaks to me so much.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. We need to learn how to clear any sort of word stuck in our throat. And for you, it's about communicating healing words. That's how you will clear your throat. There you go.